Build a team through accountability. Let's go. Building a team can be hard. However, there are simple and powerful techniques and approaches you can take to really build up your executive team, your management team, your staff team, any team that you're trying to move forward. A group of people from one that is doing okay to being amazing. This is part 4, which is focusing on avoidance of accountability. And where this shows up is low standards. It's really easy for a manager to be hard or strong or direct with their report. If I'm your manager and you're my direct report, I can tell you very clearly, your standards are not high enough, I need you to hit here. These are the things I want you to do. It's relatively easy because of that relationship in the hierarchy. However, when you're in a team of peers, it gets much more difficult. Why is that? It's not easy to hold someone accountable. Some people are hard to hold accountable because they're so helpful. Others because they get defensive. Others because they're intimidating. People decide to tolerate their peers with low standards on issues that matters because they want to avoid that discomfort of having a challenging and heart-to-heart conversation. Typically, performance standards can be quite low because it hits to the core, it hits to the inner sanctum, who we really are, and our own identity. Now, of course, as I said, managers may have a much easier time holding their direct reports to those higher standards and to keep them accountable, but it's much harder because we don't have a hierarchy to rely on. We're supposed to be peers. And what right do I have to stick my nose into their business? Or if there was no buy-in before, then it seems quite pointless because they'll say, well, I never really agreed to that, so why are you bringing it up? So as we move through these 5 stages of building up a really functional team as opposed to a dysfunctional team, you keep building on those solid foundations. And those problems that were there before start to diminish and lessen so you can take on bigger problems and actually have less and less problems as you move forward. If you really trust that person, if you really trust their ability, they're predictable, you understand their motivations, you agree with what they're really trying to do, you trust their integrity, and you can engage with them in very important argumentative discussions that are still respectful, then you'll know that they're committed to the result. The small, non-important discussion around standards becomes really easy because there's such dynamic connection. There's a solid foundation in that relationship. If you don't have trust, if you avoid that conflict, if you do not have commitment, then of course you can't have a conversation around standards. You can't have a conversation around accountability. Accountability refers specifically to the willingness of team members to call their peers out on performance or behaviors that may impact or hurt that team. You owe it to your team to hold each other accountable. So, what would you do? How do you approach this? How would you even bring up this concept, this very important topic, with your team? The most critical motivation for improving one's performance is through peer pressure. The peer pressure from respected teammates. Here's a question for you to consider. Why would it be hard for you to do this with your peers? Have you ever held your peers accountable in a consistent and respected way at previous roles or previous organizations? What would make it easier for you to do so in your current organization with your current team? This is a discussion you can have with your team, your group of peers, to identify what's going on, if they've ever seen it done well before, and how to improve now. An exercise you can do with your peers is to identify the most critical and most pressing goals that your team must face right now. Brainstorm with your peer group, this team, all the things that are pressing, that are important, that are critical to pay attention to. Get that list out and then start having a discussion of how this is a goal for the entire team as opposed to a goal for a single individual. If the goal is only for a single individual, put it aside. Come back to it later. For the purposes of holding each other accountable and improving standards to that of excellence, it is important to focus on the most pressing goals that affect the entire team and that everyone can have a contribution to achieving. By driving home the point through practiced behavior, practice does not make perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. By continually showing respect, by holding each other accountable, and showing respect when others hold you accountable, you can greatly improve the output and the quality and the excellence of your team. Doing this at the level of an executive team can show great improvements and be that example for the entire department and potentially the organization. I have seen this done, and it holds high impact for very low and consistent activity and practice. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, as I bring out new videos each month to help you improve, to help you succeed, to help you become the leader that you want to be. Thank you so much.